Guys, it is finally time to discuss the Austin 2025 capsules. You guys have been heavily requesting this in the comments, so I'm excited to finally talk about it with you guys. And first, we're going to start with the Challengers capsule. I am going to talk about the Contenders and the Legends capsules in another video after this. But I wanted to really dive into all the capsules individually so that I can discuss the nuance that I think exists within these stickers, respective of the other capsules, because it is important that we analyze these capsules in a vacuum of each other. This video is going to cover all the applications of the stickers within the Challengers capsule so far, how many stickers are often applied per weapon. I am actually going to talk a little bit about the Steam quantity of these stickers because I gathered this information or this data about a week ago, and looking at it again, I got this information last night on October 20th. The Steam quantity of a lot of these stickers actually increased, so that gets me to believe that people are offloading these stickers maybe after the initial hype wave of the Austin stickers getting removed. So I'll discuss that a little bit. And then also, we're going to talk about their Steam price and how these stickers are faring in terms of their applications to their price. And that's what the difference is going to be. I'm also including a new indicator in this video that I think I'll include going forward, which is the magic ratio, so to say, in the top right corner up here. And basically what this ratio is, we take the total number of applications and divide it by the Steam price, right? And then we also need to adjust that for the rarity of each individual sticker. You'll see what that means in a little bit, but basically it's kind of just an indicator of how bang for a buck you're going to be getting the sticker at its current price compared to its total applications for the rarity of that sticker, if that makes sense. I don't want you guys to look at this number and be, oh, the number is small, so I'm going to buy them. That's not really what I want you to get at, as this magic ratio does favor cheaper items a lot more than more expensive items, as you'll come to find out in this video. But I want it to be a useful tool in your tool cabinet for whether or not certain stickers are worth investing in. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and move on and look at this data, okay? So we're going to talk about the blue stickers first, the high grades. And, Austin, I'm just going to get this out of the gate. Austin is very interesting for its papers, right? We have that branded look at these papers. They're bordered, but they scrape beautifully. And these papers actually have really good application numbers for a tournament paper, which normally is ignored, swept under the rug, and forgotten about, left on Steam at 3 cents for forever until, just supply and demand takes its course, right? But these stickers, they look good. They have that glow-in-the-dark effect when they have the glow-dark effect, and when they're scraped, they look really clean. So we actually have pretty good application numbers for this this class of stickers, and I think that there is room for investment in these stickers. Now, of course, big asterisk. If Budapest stickers, for some God knows why reason, look the exact same as Austin 25, which if you're taking that bet, I hope it cashes for you because that's going to pay out really well. I don't think they're going to look the same, but if the papers do have the same kind of glow-in-the-dark effect, which they might, that might hurt these Austin stickers in the long run. But I do want to say, looking at our Steam prices, these stickers still have a very low price floor, and we really can't get lower than this, right? Like, obviously the demand can get lower, but our price is pretty much at its floor. So that's just something to consider. This is a very cheap entry level for this entire class of stickers, right? Okay. So right now, this entire data set of these stickers is going to be organized by our new magic ratio, right? So the smaller the number, the quote-unquote better bang for your buck that you're going to get for these. Now again, I don't want you to take this as gospel, but basically what we're looking at is the cheaper something is and the more applied it is, the smaller this number will be. And it's a better indicator for, maybe demand. It's a little bit more of a nuanced take than the difference that I had in the last video, where we just look at the difference between how many times it's applied and its relative price to the rest of the stickers in its category. Something you'll see in this Austin 2025 Challengers capsule is the FaZe Clan stickers are doing really well. It has the most applications at 20,456. It has the best average sticker per weapon, meaning more people are applying more than one on average. And it's pretty cheap at 5 cents. And it has a very good magic ratio, meaning it's pretty cheap and has lots of applications. That being said, our other stickers are also doing well, right? Our really cheap ones, our 3-cent ones, are all very good magic ratios. That's because this number is super small. They're only 3 cents. So because these stickers are so cheap, our difference metric doesn't really work well because they are identical prices. They're going to be, there's going to be a difference that shows that these are not good investments. I don't believe that these are not good investments, but they probably just don't have as much intrinsic demand as something like the FaZe Clan sticker. Something else I want to point out is the Falcons sticker, right? So Falcons is kind of our overhyped sticker set in the Challengers capsule. It's the most expensive holo, as you'll come to see, most expensive gold, most expensive paper, most expensive foil. There's a lot of stuff surrounding the Falcons team, and people like the green color a lot, and there's just a lot of cool players on it. So it's got things going for it. But something I wanted to note, and it's not shown on this graph here, but I took the data a week ago, like I said, and the Steam quantity for the Falcon sticker was only 2,000. It was like the smallest for the papers, and it boosted all the way up to 10,000. I just wanted to note that because I feel that, even though some stickers are more expensive than others, that does not mean that the supply of that sticker is less than the supply of cheaper stickers. It means that more people might be hanging on to them in storage containers or trying to offload them, right? So the Steam quantity is not a very useful metric in terms of total supply because it's just not. But it is helpful to know when kind of trends change of people listing not many of an item to many of an item. So keep that in mind. So as we can see, our magic ratio doesn't love the Falcons. It says it's a little bit overpriced or underapplied. I would argue overpriced. It's 7 cents. Something else I wanted to note is that all of these Steam quantities went up over the last week except for the M80 paper. And I wanted to bring this out because I haven't heard any YouTuber investment person talk about this yet. But M80 officially on Twitter said that they're going to change back to their original grenade logo for their team sticker for the Budapest Major. Meaning the M80 from Austin 2025 logo is the only time that we're probably ever going to get this logo. I haven't seen a boost in Steam price yet, I haven't seen a boost in applications, but I did see a decrease in the Steam quantity. So I warn you guys that the M80, if this word gets out a little bit more, it might boost up in price a little bit. And as you can see, it is evaluated at a worse magic ratio than the Falcons, simply because it has less applications than Falcons and it's the same price. Alright, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and look at the purples, the foils. They still have a relatively low price floor for most of them, except obviously Falcons. But they have pretty good application rates for, being 5 times rarer than the blues. Again, if you didn't know, each rarity is 5 times rarer than the one that came before it. And we kind of see that, which I'll cover later, but some things I wanted to point out is that the MIBR and the Pain Gaming are the least applied, and they have the best indicator on the magic ratio. That's kind of pointing again at, I don't want you to just look at the small number and say, oh, that's a good investment. It's simply because these are the cheapest by 4 cents, Ones that I believe are decent are, again, FaZe. FaZe at 27 cents. It's the most applied. It is obviously not the most expensive, being cheaper than both M80 and Falcons. Falcons by like 3 times. It is not applied the most per weapon, but it is applied the most overall, and it has a good relative difference between its application rank and its relative price rank. Its magic ratio is about a 1, which I don't really know what that means. It just means it's decent, okay? It's especially decent considering its price because it does have that good application number backing it. I do want to discuss M80 and Falcons because obviously they are the more expensive ones of the foils. The M80 one, it's applied 1.58 times per weapon. It's got 3,877 applications. It's 46 cents. It's the second most expensive, third most applied. That's why our difference is -1. And I think just because it's a little bit more expensive, it has that higher magic ratio number, but I think that the M80 is a decent one to invest at 46 cents, and especially if things continue to go down. I will say that a week ago when I got this data, the Steam price was lower than this, and then I checked again in a few days, and it was a lot higher than this, and now we're kind of back down towards the original estimate that I got. Looking at Falcons, I do want to say, Falcons is obviously the most, I would guess, overinvested sticker from this capsule, simply because of its price, right? It's at $1.17. That's 3 times more expensive than the second most expensive in the sticker and a ton times more expensive than the rest, right? But it is applied the second most, so there is a little bit of demand there. 4,300 applications, and it has the highest average application per weapon. So this kind of illustrates a couple points that I wanted to talk about a little bit more in the previous video, and that is that obviously applications are a lot more of a concrete way to assess demand than price, right? Price can be inflated a lot by investor demand, quote unquote, investor demand, which is people taking the stickers out of supply and holding on to them and investing in them. Obviously, investor hype can drive a lot of stickers prices up, but I wanted to really point out the total applications because we can kind of see that total applications are people actually using the sticker, right? The sticker has been consumed and applied to a weapon, taken out of its supply, and it's actually consumed, right? So if things have good applications at a decent price, that's what I want to talk about. That's why I think Phase is good for both the paper and the foil. That's why things like Virtus Pro, MIBR, Pain Gaming, they're all super cheap. And while they're not applied a lot, they are still applied. Things like M80, they're relatively cheap, 46 cents for an investment. They're applied the third most. But things like Falcon are just like, Falcons is just kind of held back by its high price. I think the high entry price is kind of unattractive. We'll move on to the Holos and talk about, again, why this magic ratio number is kind of, this is when things kind of get ridiculous, right? What we're looking at first here is our difference, right? Our difference says that the MIBR holo, and so does our magic ratio, so maybe we need to listen to the numbers, but the MIBR holo is the best investment of period. It has 756, it's the third most applied, and it's the second cheapest. So obviously having the cheapest or second cheapest price does benefit our magic ratio number. But it does have decent applications. It's the third most applied. Now, is it the third most applied because it is the cheapest? Sometimes when we get into our higher rarity things, that kind of plays a factor. Like obviously the Falcons, it's $29.94. That's an expensive sticker. If you want to apply 4 of those to your skin, you're looking at $120. So, and because of that, it's the 6th most applied. It's, it's down there at the bottom. It's the most expensive. It's, the 6th most applied, and thus we have a really negative difference, and we have a very high magic ratio number. So obviously the Falcons holo is not expensive because it's applied a lot. It's 567. It's the 6th most applied, but it is applied 1.72 times, so that is something to take note per weapon. But it's just this investor demand, it's just driven up this price to $30. Like obviously you can invest at $30 if you want, but this was $40 a few days ago. I will say on Steam it was $40 a few days ago, and this number was like in the 500s or something. It was crazy. So we look at these figures, we look at FaZe Clan. Okay, I do want to talk about this, right? FaZe Clan, the most applied, or second most applied at 960. It has a good application per weapon figure. It's $8.51, so it's a little expensive, but it's honestly only the 5th most expensive, and it has a good difference and magic ratio. So if you have capital to invest in these holo stickers at these pretty high prices, that is your prerogative. I think that, we do not know what the future of Austin holds, but looking at the data, and I will cover this a little bit more and later on in the video, the application numbers, which can be indicative of the total supply, are very low, I do need to do more research to see how kind of these compare to Shanghai and previous more recent tournaments, because I do want to know that, and I do think that you guys should know that. Anyway, back to our stickers. Sorry, that was an aside. Our M80 holo looks pretty nice. It has the most applied. It is $15. It's the second most expensive, but it is the most applied, and it is applied at a pretty high rate at 1.85 times per weapon, which is pretty substantial for that expensive of a sticker. So maybe look at the M80. Interestingly enough, the Furia is pretty low on our magic ratio. It's the least applied. That's why it's the worst on our magic ratio, and it is the 3rd most expensive. So that's another thing to consider. It's like some of these holos are propped up by the specifics of their holo. The Furia holo is that kind of oil spill black holo that was introduced into the Austin Major that's shared with like the bait holo, which I'll talk about in another video. But it looks nice, right? So look at these numbers, ask me if you have questions, ask me them in the comments. I'll try to answer them and give you my opinion. Obviously, things are kind of unstable. We do not know what's going to happen with Austin going forward, but I want this data to kind of provide you some information so that you can be, maybe ahead of the curve or be a little bit more informed. Like right now, this data really leans towards cheaper stickers. It leans towards the FaZe Clan stickers. It leans towards the M80 sticker in some categories. So We'll move on to the reds, the golds. Not much to talk about here because obviously, if you're investing in tournament sticker golds, you know that they're going to be on every souvenir weapon as well. So these are very cheap compared to their holos, but we'll get to that in a second. I also wanted to say thank you for getting this far into the video, and thank you so much for the support on the last video. I really, really, really appreciate it, guys. It makes my day whenever any of you guys comment or leave a like. I really, really appreciate it. Looking at the golds, what's there to say? If you're investing in tournaments golds, good for you. I would say, they're fun to craft with. They look decent. They are unique golds. They're just going to be on every souvenir sticker from this, or sorry, every souvenir skin from this tournament. Taking a look, we see that a lot of the prices are less than $6 for most of the stickers. The MRBR is evaluated well because it's the cheapest and it's applied decently. The Virtus Pro is evaluated well because it's applied the third most and it's applied decently, and it's $359. Obviously, the Falcons Gold is the most expensive, the least applied, the worst evaluation on both of our metrics, and it's $20. So, guys, I would just caution you, maybe don't invest in Falcons. It might be overhyped right now. It might be propped up by investor demand or just hype. I don't really have much to say about the golds. They're pretty cheap entry level. Our M80 does look nice. It is the second most applied, third most expensive, has good applications, and it has the best average sticker per weapon. That's why I highlighted it. So if you wanted to apply in a little bit more of an expensive gold, obviously these stickers are very, very rare, right? We only have probably like 1,000 applied across all 8. And so if you like investing in rare things, there you go. Now, I will say that I think demand really does drive price in a lot of instances, and you really got to question the demand surrounding these gold stickers when all of them are cheaper than the holos. You see what I'm saying? So just take that into account. That's kind of the broad sticker data analysis that I'm going to provide. I wanted to kind of move forward and show you guys some changes in application rate. I talked about this in my last video. I was actually able to get some data surrounding the change in applications over the last week. I initially gathered this data on October 12th, and then again gathered it yesterday on October 20th. And saw that there was, in fact, a difference. Our prices went down and our applications went up. So here you go. We can see that, let me scroll up to our blues. There's our day, there's yesterday, and our difference in raw number and our percent change. So we can see that everything, across all metrics went up a few percentage points. Interestingly enough, the MIBR was applied 17 times, 3D Max Gold applied 18 times, just like pretty good application rates for a sticker that had just been discontinued and had also been hiked in price. Like these were a lot more expensive a few days ago than they are now. So that's promising, right? That shows that there's a good lifeline for this capsule. So yeah, I'll leave a screenshot of this information up on the video at the end, so you can screenshot it yourself and just have it and use it. Moving forward, I wanted to talk about kind of projection models for how many stickers we have and how many stickers we should have, and then a couple of little math problems I did to maybe figure out kind of our bottom line of how many stickers exist. So this is our actual numbers. We have 111,000 blues applied, 27,000 purples applied, 5,500 pinks applied, 909 reds applied, for a total of this is the Austin Challengers capsule of 144,913. Last video I looked at the Elemental Craft sticker pack and kind of evaluated the applications compared to what they would be per their rarity. So I did that again for this one, and we see that based on our total blues, we should have 22,000 purples, 5,500 pinks, 1,100 reds, for a total of 139,000. So there is a difference. We have less purple. We have 5,000 more purples applied than expected. We have about normal pinks and a little less reds based on how many blues we have applied, right? So I did think about it a little bit more after making the last video, and this is a little bit flawed because this metric on this graph is totally dependent on how many blues are applied to skins, right? And how many people are applying blues? Not that many. I mean, obviously it's the most applied, but that's because it's the cheapest. So I wanted to try and figure out a better metric to maybe look at our bottom line for how many Austin Challenger capsules have been opened. So I went ahead and did that. So just looking at the numbers of this model are kind of confusing at first, but it's basically just whatever the most applied sticker there was per rarity, so the most applied blue, the most applied purple, red, pink, etc. I took that number and then multiplied by 8, which is the total amount of unique stickers in our capsules, not including the Blast Tournament sticker. Just multiplied them by 8 and kind of worked out the math, the 5 times rarity, and found that our most applied purple was the 5,000 Phase Clan foils. So I took that number and just extrapolated the 5 times rarity out both ways to the blue and the reds and the pinks, and found that our lowest estimate based on applications is 250,000. Now again, this is based on, I believe, sound fundamentals, because there's an equal chance to get any sticker in its rarity, right? So the fact that there are 5,000 phases applied means that it's safe to assume that there are 5,000 of every other sticker in that category, even though there aren't 5,000 foils for every single sticker at this point, right? So that makes sense. But what I figured is I might continue that information onto our most listed, right? So we can prove that applied stickers exist, right? But we can also prove that stickers listed on Steam exist, right? They exist. They're on Steam, listed for sale. So what I did was I took the highest, most listed sticker and followed that data. And what I found was the MIBR blue was listed 44,000 times on Steam, so I times that by 8 to get our 353,728 blues. And then followed that data, dividing by 5 each time for our projected each rarity, and found that 441,451 is actually, I think, a safer, higher bottom line estimate for our stickers, because I believe that over enough capsules opened, we're going to have roughly the same number of stickers provided for each sticker, right? And thus our least popular stickers, like MIBR papers, are going to be a good value or a good estimate to see how many exist if we follow the data. This is purely just math, and there's no way to really prove this beyond just kind of our understanding of rarities in Counter-Strike, but I think that this is a safe estimate. So I will probably provide this data going forward, because while making this video, I realized that I had just done the applied, right? Just the applied, but on some of the stickers, the listing was way higher than the applied, which makes sense, like the blues. And so I followed that line of data to find a better bottom line, a better, bigger bottom line, if you will. But if I can kind of compare this to things like Paris or Copenhagen, and see that, oh, Paris, our absolute bottom line is 4 million or something like that, then we know that, oh, okay, Austin is pretty small. Even though that this number is very clearly going to be a lot less than how many actually exist. But I wanted to kind of provide that information because I was just kind of mulling over, what I did in the last video and things I wanted to improve on. So guys, that's kind of what I'm getting from the Austin Challengers 25 capsule. I haven't made any investments in the Austin Challengers capsule or anything like that specifically, but I wanted to provide all this data for you guys. I really, 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 really thank you guys. It means a ton to me. All the comments you left and how well that video is done. It's clear that you guys like this content, which makes me feel validated. I kind of did this stuff on my own for fun and just uploaded it, so it makes me feel great that you guys are getting some use out of it. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. I will comment, I'll reply to them, and let me know anything that you think I could do better going forward. If you guys like this magic ratio, if you're confused about it, I can remove it. I can explain more about it, but this video is probably already long enough. I have no clue how long this is going to be at the end. I imagine it's going to be 20 minutes plus or something, or at least a good bit longer than my last video. But to answer a couple questions, since a couple asked, this data is all taken from CSFloat database. I collect it manually. This spreadsheet is just on Google Sheets that I'm working on, and then obviously these sticker pictures that I showed are just from csgoskins.gg. Anything else, please just leave a comment, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.